24 cruises that we've taken, and I don't think we've had a cruise that we didn't love. The 24th one, though, may have pushed the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah, there was some drama on board. So this is a cruise channel where we like to keep it real. So we're gonna tell you what happened. Hi, I'm Crystal.
And I'm Marshall.
We make cruising videos. We do ships, tips, and trips. So we show you ship tours and talk about our experiences on board, which is what this video is about.
And we're taking a different tact. Opposed to likes and dislikes, this cruise had highs, but it had some really low lows. So we're going to give you the highs and the lows right now. We had the best of intentions of starting off this cruise on the right foot, but it was definitely on the wrong foot. We were fortunate enough to be roiled up, and we had a junior suite, so we got to go into the suite line to get on board fast. But when we got there, it was like we didn't exist.
The line was crawling. It was a snail's pace. We did learn what the issue was, but it was not a great experience. We were just standing there waiting. Other cruisers were complaining, and yeah, it didn't feel great.
That was balanced with at least a high, which was getting off the ship. And it's not because it was a terrible ship experience we wanted to get off. It was just super smooth.
Yep, fast, smooth, no issues.
Nicely done.
There were a ton of people on board this ship, and especially, how do I say it, unattended children, shall we say? They were in gaggles, like darting. So you were like in line for something, and all of a sudden, 8, 12 kids would come along and you'd get bumped out of the way, and it didn't feel that great.
No, you really couldn't take 3 or 4 steps without having to stop because some kid was getting in front of you. And I know
we love kids.
We love kids, and we don't want to take, videos of what was going on because these are underage kids. But if you're walking the stairs and the kids seem to be jumping from 5 stairs down and going down that way, and you're going the opposite direction, it's just downright uncomfortable. I feel old.
I know. We sound cranky.
I know. It just was different. It was definitely a different experience, and we're trying to relax, and it was not relaxing.
No.
You also just mentioned about kids not being supervised. If you remember, there was one time we were in line, guest services, and the gentleman in front of us was waiting in line too to speak to someone for guest services. But why was that? He was speaking.
Oh, he couldn't find his kid. Yeah.
So the kid was missing, and I've never heard of that was an issue for guest services before.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it has happened probably before. It was potentially, dangerous, scary situation. But yeah, there was a lot of kids unsupervised. Once
we were able to make it into the theater, the shows were spectacular on Independence of the Seas.
Yeah, they did a full production show of Greece, so it was a long show. I don't even know how many people were involved in the making of that program, but it was amazing. There were so many people, so many singers, so many dancers, so many actors. Mm-hmm. I was so impressed with that show.
And in addition to the Royal Caribbean theater shows, Independence of the Seas has an ice show and an ice skating rink.
They were great. They did so many flips and flying around. I can't even stand up on skates, so I have no idea how they do this, but I'm always so impressed.
Yeah, there's something great about getting onto a ship. Now, this was just a 4-day cruise, and we could book 2 Royal Caribbean theater shows and an ice skating show. So you had a major event every night.
Yeah.
It was
fantastic.
A high. I'm surprised that I'm going to say this was a low, but the food on Independence of the Seas, there were some highs, but for the first time, there were lows when it came to the food. And I'm just going to start as an example. Night one, love that bread basket.
Yes, you do.
I love that bread basket. And we're talking about those cheese rolls that we both love. They were undercooked. They weren't even brown, and they were half the size. And I'm like, is this a hint that there's too many people on board and not enough time to make the bread? It was bizarre.
But then the next night or the next day, it was fine.
Well,
So it was just very inconsistent quality, I would say. And some of the meals just weren't that great.
and there were some definite bombs that were served to us this trip.
Yeah, it is surprising.
Very surprising.
Yeah. On the other hand, one of the things that was very consistent was the Wi-Fi. And I was grateful because I was working, you were working, we had meetings. So it was fantastic to have consistent, fast internet speed.
I like what you did. Inconsistent food, but consistent internet speed. Nicely
You're
done.
welcome. Like I said, we were working on board, and one of the times you had a meeting and I needed a quiet place to go, I went to the library, which this ship, Independence, has the best onboard library I've ever seen. It's a private room. It's quiet. There are signs up that say it's a quiet area, and it was fantastic. I found a little desk and I worked my little heart out.
You were very happy when you got back, saying that you found the best place maybe on any ship to work.
Yep, it was fantastic.
Definitely a high. Moving on to a low is the windjammer itself. There was space to sit, but with the crowds and the kids and the fact that that windjammer has a line that of food that just goes from the front to the back, it was very hard to go get your food in that environment. It was downright tough.
So while we're on a food kick here, we went to the dining room for breakfast because we were having difficulties in the windjammer. So we said, let's not do the buffet. Let's just go sit down and have breakfast in the dining room. So we asked for a table for two, which we always do. And they were lined up literally, I think maybe 5 inches of space between our table and the next table. So we were literally this close, like as close as Marshall and I are, to the table beside us. So yeah, that the wait staff was serving like over our shoulders because they couldn't even get in between the tables.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
No, it was terrible.
It was pretty bad, especially when you wait and ask for a table for two. It just is a very big letdown to really basically be in a table for 8
Pretty much.
straight across.
So there was just room service for breakfast for us after that. So a high and a low together, I would say, is the fish and chips place. That was fantastic to find that little gem.
Yeah, and I love the play on words, not fish and chips, but let's go to fish and chips. And they didn't have a large menu, but it was just something different and something quick to get. And I enjoyed the food.
Yeah. The only downside of that is the lines were so long. You waited a really long time. One day we waited in line for a while. We finally get up there, we order our stuff, and they say, oh, we're out of that. So can you step aside and just wait a little bit till we have another batch? So of course that's gonna happen,
Right.
but it was kind of wah, wah.
Yes, yes. Moving from food, let's talk about some highs and lows of the ship itself. And a high for me, as always, if there's a nice outside promenade, I need to call that out as a high. You could walk completely around, and the weather was decent enough that the front helipad was open all the time. So you could do laps, you could go and, if you want to, enjoy the stars at night. It was definitely a big plus.
Also, I would say the casino was very large. It was well stocked with machines and different tables and lots of options for play. And we did use the slot machines on that cruise, probably more than any other cruise we've been on. And that was actually a lot of fun. And actually, it wasn't crowded around us. Our machines weren't crowded.
No, I actually had the best time in a casino. I mean, we were there for a relatively small amount of time, but it was the best time ever, I think.
And you won $25.
Yeah, well, that's why it was the best time ever.
I won $1.50.
We're, hey, we both left with money. So, The low of this type of ship is the fact that some of the bars or venues kind of feel narrow and part of a hallway.
Yeah.
Schooner bars, talk about casino, right outside the casino, you have a schooner bar, and really it feels like it's just the hallway between the theater and the casino.
Yep.
It's a place I just don't want to go to.
Yeah, we'd rather have like an actual room, like a destination, like they do on some of the smaller ships. One of the things we really did like was the junior suite we had was nice and wide and big. It was spacious, one of the larger junior suites we've ever had. There was plenty of seating and floor space, had a big walk-in closet. So you can go look at our room tour if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Even the balconies seem larger. We've been on junior suites where you don't get full lounge chairs in addition to other seating. This one was wide enough where we had 4 places to sit, 2 of them being full lounge chairs. Mm-hmm. Really nice.
The downside of the junior suite was there were limited outlets. So there near the desk/vanity area, there were 2 Euro outlets and 2 American outlets, and that was it for the room. So you were sitting way over on the other side of the room trying to work on your laptop, and your battery would start to die, and there was nothing in the area for you to plug into.
Yeah, tell me about it. Been there.
So now we get into the drama.
And it's around our junior suite, which we just said we loved, and that was part of the drama. We loved it so much, and then
we had to leave.
Stuff happened.
Yeah. So on my side of the bed, the floor was wet. The carpet was soaked. And our stateroom attendant, I think, sucked it up. And he thought that it was maybe coming from the fire hose out in the hallway. And they did find a leak there. So that was fixed. But the floor did not dry. And it kept getting wetter. Marshall took a shower one night and it was really wet. So I called somebody and oh my God, there was drama.
Yeah, during the course of that day, we had heard that it was a fire hose connection, things from outside the stateroom. Mm-hmm. They were trying their best to troubleshoot, and I guess there was an issue a couple cruises ago. So they thought it was kind of leftover water until I took that shower, and then people were coming out of the woodwork, and it got really hectic with a lot of people in our room really fast.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's great that they got right on it. The plumber came and, the housekeeping people came with the carpet sucker thing, and other people came with parts. So there were, like you said, 5 or 6 people. And then the assistant director of housekeeping was in the room talking with us, and our room attendant. And there were like 6 or 7 people. This gigantic, high-speed, high-volume fan was going all day long.
Right.
And
so here's how everything kind of gets wrapped up into this story. Because, as you've heard, it was a very busy cruise, we had decided that evening to order room service. So when we ordered room service, it was right before this thing exploded into people in our room.
Yeah.
So in the middle of having all these people in the room, knock, 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 it's room service. So we're trying to eat our dinner meal with people coming and going and parts of the tub being pulled out into the hallway and things like this, and then people talking to us while we're like trying to eat my salmon and this and that. And honestly, maybe if we want to give them the benefit of the doubt and being really smart, they knew we ate at 5 o'clock, and all of that work was being done from like 5 to 6:30. Maybe we would never have noticed it if we'd gone to the dining room.
I think we would have noticed it.
Well, the issue is, the second part of this is they couldn't get it dried fast enough. So they
had us pack up everything, and they moved us to another room.
So we would have come back even after the show, and we would have had to have moved to another room. But that craziness, it was just bad timing that it was room service time too, because they totally ruined the meal, let alone what was going to happen.
So, just to wrap up the story, they told us for our hassle and inconvenience, because it was awful. It really was. There was just no way around it. I was very upset because it was like, this is the worst cruise ever.
Right.
Literally, the worst cruise ever. And then I told myself, Crystal, really, you can't get a more first world problem than this. Like, you are blessed to be able to be on a cruise ship, as much as you do, to cruise with the love of your life. Like, this is a great life. You have nothing to complain about. So I talked myself out of it. We were downgraded, went to the other room, and we just made the best of it. And then they told us, you're going to get a certain % off on a future cruise for your hassle. So we were excited to say, well, let's use that on a really expensive upcoming cruise, and this will all be worth it.
Right. Absolutely. And we just yesterday got back $96.
No, 98.
$98, which is nothing to sneeze at, but it was the percentage off of this very inexpensive cruise, not a cruise that we will book and get a percentage off. So, it was nice they offered that. It just wasn't what we were thinking at the time.
Yeah, and it was the price of the fare only, excluding fees and taxes. And it was also for the lower price room that we had originally booked, even though we were royaled up to a junior suite and we paid more to be in that room, we didn't get the percentage off that more that we paid for the room. So it was off the base fare. So $98.
All right. I'm going to say there were some highs in this. Mm-hmm. Okay. One is you benefited because we could do 2 room tours. So you had a balcony and a junior suite for this Independence of the Seas trip. The other thing is, as we talked about all these people, we need to call out some wonderful Royal Caribbean staff. First and foremost was our stateroom attendant,
Berniel,
mm-hmm. who literally created a zoo of room animals. And he was like, his biggest concern was getting us back into that room so he could have us. And we wound up having, 12 animals. And you even worked with him to make a few. It was wonderful. And he was so nice.
So nice. Yeah. He really made that cruise less awful for us.
Absolutely. So if you're listening, definitely you need to take a bow. You were wonderful.
2 thumbs up.
4 thumbs up.
So I think we go on record as saying this had its highs and lows. Overall, it was probably the worst cruise we've ever had, but there were very nice people on board trying to make it so much better for us, and we really do appreciate that. Thank you so much for the support of the channel. It means so much to us, and we love hearing from you and building this community. So thank you so much for watching.
Take care.